The Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat are in the Eastern Conference Finals, and I gotta tell you, I'm kinda happy that we're not gonna see the Toronto Raptors or the Milwaukee Bucks this year. I like the underdog, and I think a lot of the fans out there who aren't, of course, fans of Toronto and Milwaukee like the underdogs too. With the way that the Heat destroyed the Bucks and the Game 7 classic that the Celtics had with the Raptors, this series is looking like it's going to be potentially one of the greatest that we've seen in the playoffs this season. Who knows, maybe even one of the greatest that we've seen in the past several seasons. So in today's video, I'm previewing the matchup between these two teams. I'm giving you my prediction for the series and who is going to make it to the NBA Finals. Heat and Celtics, Celtics and Heat, leprechauns and fireballs, Irish guys and sunburns. I mean, come on, this is going to be a great series. You know, it makes me think, I've actually got this Irish guy who's been living in my backyard for the past several weeks, and I don't know what to do about it. I asked him his name, and he said his name is Patio Furniture. How's it going, everybody? This is Troy with the Half Court Report YouTube channel. Hey, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you comment below. Any or all of those things really helps out the channel. When you do that, YouTube puts these videos in front of other people who can also see and enjoy the videos, and it helps my channel out a ton. Would really appreciate it. Let's begin today's video by talking about the Celtics. The Celtics are the number 3 seed. You'll recall they beat the Sixers, they beat the Toronto Raptors, and they are coached by who I think is a basketball genius in Brad Stevens, one of the best coaches in the NBA. Here's who we've got on the Celtics roster. Jayson Tatum, I mean, come on, what can you say about this guy? If not already, he will very soon be a top 10 player. He can do it all on the basketball floor. Plus, props to him for rocking that leg sleeve tattoo. You don't really see too many guys with that, but he can really pull it off. So, way to go, Tatum. Also, Kemba Walker, he is their point guard. He had a bit of a rough time in the Toronto series, just really couldn't get it going. But if he does end up getting it going, watch out, because this guy can be a beast on the floor as well. Big question for him is he's never really gotten as far as he is right now in the playoffs. Is he built for this moment? Playoff basketball is a completely different animal than the regular season. Can he take the pressure? I still have my questions about him, but we'll see. Then you have Marcus Smart. Say what you will about his flopping, but he is the kind of player that every fan wants on their team. And also, he's kind of that guy where if he's on your team, you love him, but if he's on the other team, you hate him because he makes life miserable for the guys on your team. He's an all-defense player, very emotional player, so he does have to get his emotions in check when he's on the floor. Jaylen Brown is starting for them at the small forward spot. He gets lost in it all, but he is an awesome third option after Tatum and Walker. He's a spectacular defensive player. You want to say he's that 3-and-D type of player, but that kind of sells him a little bit short because Jaylen Brown brings so much to the table with his basketball IQ and his overall skill set. Big issue for the Celtics is at the center spot. They have Daniel Theis, and not to say Daniel Theis isn't a good player, but he's not the type of guy you would expect to be starting on a conference finals playoff team. But then you think about what he was doing with the Raptors. I just remember him throwing down alley-oop after alley-oop in that series. He can bring it defensively as well. People say he's not going to be able to hang with Miami's big guys. He's an undersized center. Well, I say to that, he hung just fine with Joel Embiid and Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka in the previous series. Gordon Hayward is going to be an X factor in this series. At some point, he's going to be coming back from his ankle injury. He got hurt in the very first playoff game against the Sixers, so he has been out for basically the entire playoffs. I think they'll bring him off the bench so as not to mess up any of the team chemistry that they have, plus they need some bench players anyway. I'll get into that in a minute. Finally this season though, Gordon Hayward looked like himself after that terrible ankle injury from a couple seasons ago. Gordon Hayward can shoot, he can score, he can give you another playmaker on the floor. And this opens up a whole new dimension to the Celtics offense and to the Brad Stevens game plan. As for who else the Celtics can bring off the bench, it's not pretty, and I'm going to talk about that and their depth or lack of depth here in just a second. For the Celtics game plan, it's going to be about defense, it's going to be about slowing down the Heat offense. Here's an idea of how good the Celtics defense is. They are averaging the fewest points allowed in the playoffs, and in the regular season, they were averaging the second fewest points allowed. Basically, that means they don't let the other team score. They will lock you down. The team has a defensive plan. The players execute it to perfection most of the time. Offensively, for the Celtics, they have lots of scoring options here with this team. In the regular season, 4 guys were averaging close to 20 points a game. The Celtics have a well-balanced offense, well-balanced defense. Biggest thing for them is that they're young. They don't have the same amount of playoff experience that the Miami Heat have. Even Kemba, who I mentioned earlier, he's been in the league for years. He's only been to the playoffs twice, and that was with Charlotte. Each time, lost in the first round. Each time, he lost to Miami. Now on to the Celtics' biggest weakness, and it's their Achilles heel. That's their depth. Listen to who they have coming off the bench. Brad Wanamaker, Robert Williams III, Grant Williams, Semi Ojeleye. These guys would not be in the rotation for any other team. If you're lucky, one of these guys will get you about 6 points a game. This is a huge issue, especially when you consider Miami's depth, and I'm going to get into Miami right now. So Miami, they are the 5th seed. They swept the Pacers. They knocked out the Bucks in 5 games, who many people thought would end up going to the NBA Finals. So they have plenty of rest compared to the Celtics. They've only played 9 games this entire playoffs. They're coached by Erik Spoelstra, who has his team prepared every game. Spoelstra has won championships with LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh. The players, by all accounts, love him. I think he is a top 3 coach in the league. On that same thought, Brad Stevens, who I was talking about, definitely a top 5 coach. So the coaches are going to be as interesting to watch in this series as the players are. The chess match and the tactical maneuvers that they do with their teams is going to be really cool to see. So who do the Heat have on their team? Jimmy Butler, of course, is the leader of this Miami Heat team. He has the swagger of 10 men. He is awesome. He knows that he's awesome. He has no trouble letting other people know that he's awesome. He leads his team. He has the trust of the coaches and his teammates. There are times when Jimmy Butler just refuses to lose a basketball game. He's going to get into his opponent's heads as well. Bam Adebayo, he's their center. He's the big guy in the middle. He has come into his own as a defender. All-star this year. Another example of a guy who was drafted late and was molded into a really good player by the Heat staff. He has awesome passing abilities for a big man. In fact, he's leading the team in assists and rebounds in the postseason. He does all his work inside. He's one of the few guys on this Heat team that does not shoot threes. Jay Crowder, I know him as Jow Crow. He came over in the midseason trade from the Memphis Grizzlies, so I watched a lot of his games this season. He's really been shooting the ball well lately, shooting 8 threes a game in the postseason, hitting 40%. He can get cold from 3, but it hasn't happened yet. Jay Crowder, he's only 6'6", but he plays much bigger. You also have Duncan Robinson, and who saw this guy amounting to anything? He was a two-way player last year. Well, the Heat saw something, and they signed him to their main roster this season. He is the best bargain in the league in terms of salary versus what his production is. He shoots the 3 all the time. 80% of his shots are from deep, and he hits over 40% of those. Goran Dragic, the Dragon, he's starting now in place of Kendrick Nunn, who we'll get into in a second, but he is a steady presence at point guard for Miami. He can score, he can assist the ball, play make a bit. You can tell he's having fun out there when he's on the court. And another guy shooting almost 40% from three. Then coming off the bench, you've got Kendrick Nunn, who started in the regular season, but he hasn't played a ton in the playoffs. You have Andre Iguodala, who has won championship after championship with the Warriors. He also came over in the Memphis trade with Jay Crowder. He can give you that nice veteran presence off the bench. Tyler Herro in his rookie season is another guy who can bomb away from three. You also have Kelly Olynyk, another big guy who can shoot the three. Myers Leonard, who can give you some minutes at the 4 and the 5. Derrick Jones Jr., who hasn't played a whole lot in the playoffs, but can still get you a few points a game. And even Solomon Hill is better than most everybody on Boston's bench. He hasn't even played in the postseason. That just goes to show you how deep of a team this Miami roster is. So what's the game plan? Well, the game plan, it's going to be easy because I mentioned all these guys do is shoot threes. The game plan is going to be shoot the three and defend. The three-point shooting is their strength. They're top 5 in the NBA in three-point percentage. Then add in the playmaking of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. That's going to be the biggest thing that Brad Stevens is going to need to game plan for. Really no weak links on this team. They've got good chemistry. They enjoy playing with one another. So who is going to win it all? What is my prediction for the Eastern Conference Finals? The teams met 3 times this past season. Boston won 2 of those games. I think, though, Miami has better coaching. They have more experience. They are clicking at the right time. I think in a vacuum, Boston is the more talented team at the top, but Miami has the vets and the depth. So if one guy doesn't have it going, somebody else can step up. That's not going to happen with Boston's bench. Miami is going to be able to grind out a win when the shots aren't falling. They're almost like the 2020 version of the 2004 Pistons. This is a team with the leadership, the toughness, and the will to win. This series is going to be one for the ages, and I say Miami is going to win it in 6 games. Hey guys, let me know in the comments what you think about this breakdown, what you think about these 2 teams, and who you think is going to win. Love for you to comment, would love for you to like this video and subscribe to the channel as well. I have new content coming out on this channel all the time, several times a week. Hey, thanks so much for watching. This is Troy with the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time.